So when we were in college, for some reason, they let us do a weekly radio show because she knew what she was doing. And they'll just let anyone into the booth as long as there was someone who knows what they're doing. You knew what you were doing more than I did.
Debatable. but sure, I knew enough.
We were allowed to play our own music as long as it was clean. Not everyone followed that rule, but we did. We would open every show with the hourly time call for the station, which is, I believe, a legal necessity. The title of the show, and then we play Live and Learn. Every single time. We did this for 2 years.
Did we?
Yes!
Did we open with Live and Learn every time?
Yes! Every single time!
Huh. That sounds like something I would approve.
So we really like Sonic 3 is what we're saying. Anyway, hi.
I don't remember that at all. That's
You
amazing.
don't? I still have the playlist on my ancient iPod.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, please
Yeah.
throw one of those at me. That's amazing. Anyway.
I'm Katie.
I'm Megan.
And we're having a really good time. So we went to see Sonic 3 on opening night, which was technically it opens today, but we saw it on today. We're recording this on Friday. We saw it on Thursday. This is probably going to go up on Saturday, and then the holiday week begins. Time is fake. So we are going to...
Every time you look at your watch, I found you, faker.
Oh my god. I don't think I said that once in this movie. I'm a little disappointed.
That's okay.
Anyway, so obviously we're shaking the rust off here. Dear everyone who said, I miss these girls, are they still out there? We're still out there, hi! And we are going to do some spoiler-free talk, and then we will give you a very distinct warning that we're going to go into spoiler territory, and then we'll spend the rest of the video losing our goddamn minds.
Just out of curiosity, was the last video of us that you uploaded, was that we watched Sonic 2 twice?
I don't know, and I'm not about to break a check right now.
Okay.
I don't think it was.
Okay. But yeah, I am always excited. I know, yeah, like you said, it's been a little bit, but I will always come out of the woodwork for Sonic.
Oh, 100%. God. Where one of my friends did I should link it, the comic about, oh hey, there's new Kingdom Hearts stuff, and the Kingdom Hearts monster coming out of its cave. And
that is very much
fucking accurate.
And also, like, it has been a very good year for both Sonic and Shadow. I am in the middle of Sonic X Shadow Generations right now. One of the things that we will be recording coming up is the Shadow animations that they dropped on YouTube. So yeah, it's been a very good year.
It's been a very good year. And then at some point on the other channel, we're going to be talking about Alan Wake.
Yee!
Like, the whole thing. It took us a while.
It took a while.
Through it.
But yeah, so
yes.
Thoughts on the movie?
So, here's the thing. I have nitpicks, but that's all I have. Nitpicks. This was so much fun. We had a solid opening night crowd, with the exception of the human being who thought that it was acceptable to play their phone videos at loud volume during the credits, which, no, stop, why would you do that? That's when the nice music is playing.
I understand the inclination, but, like, it's still rude. Don't do it.
When you can fit a pair of AirPods in your pocket, there's no excuse.
There isn't.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that is our, hey, when you're in a theater, you're still in public.
I'm also very much one of those
Doing
people
your audio over the movie is no good.
Sonic says, everybody.
Sonic says.
But yeah, I am definitely one of those people that if you play, with some exceptions, but if you're the type of person that plays your phone audio in public, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is you're doing, I think you're a monster.
Just instant screaming rage. Flames on the side of my face.
But
anyway, aside from that one human, like, we had people laughed at all the right times.
I am
clapped for Nicole Kidman because we watched this in an AMC, as one does. Just,
I am,
in it to win it.
Incredibly pleased. I don't think it's any secret to it. Like, we've talked about it numerous times for the various Sonic videos that we've done on your channel. Yes. Sonic Adventure 2 is my favorite Sonic game, and it's straight up my favorite game of all time. It's not the best video game I've ever played, but it's my favorite for a lot of nostalgic reasons. And this was probably the best adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2 we were ever going to get for this version of the character, this version of all yeah, exactly.
Yes.
For the world that they've built, this was the best, I think, adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2 we were ever going to get, and I am extremely pleased with it. I really enjoyed the action. Like you said, I have some nitpicks, but in
For
terms
me, it
of
was the editing in like the first 20 minutes. It felt like they cut a lot.
I feel like there is a longer version of this movie out there for sure, but I think that's true of each of the Sonic movies.
Yeah.
Like, having rewatched the first two recently, I also feel like there is a good chunk of stuff on the cutting room floor, more so in the first movie than in the second.
Yeah,
I feel like the second had a longer runtime, and I think they were allowed to do more
stuff.
and keep more in.
Whereas the first one, they had so much backlash from design choices alone that it was like, it has to be perfect.
But like,
it has to be a streamlined
there's
machine.
like one character actor in particular where I'm like, why did they cast him to only be in this one scene? There is no way they had him only in this one scene. This guy clearly had more to do in the movie, but like
in the first movie, Who was it?
It was the military guy. The actor's name, it always escapes me, but he's in the movie Timeline. He's in a bunch of stuff. He's in like, I want to say,
Oh no, he was the villain in Arrow.
yeah,
In season like 4.
yeah. Neither here nor there.
Striking blue eyes.
Yes,
that man.
yes.
Yes.
I'm
I
like,
know what you're talking
he's a
about.
notable character actor whose name escapes me. If only there was a magic box that could tell me what it was.
He was M. Bison in the Chun-Li movie.
Yes, he was. I'm like, you don't cast.
Hey everyone, did you miss us?
You don't cast notable character actors for a single
anything.
scene. That makes no sense.
No.
Anyway, neither
So
here nor
this
there.
movie definitely had some stuff on the cutting room floor. Most of what you see in the previews comes from, I want to say, the action scene within the first 20 minutes or so. And it makes sense that they would constrain the previews to that action scene, which,
And I'm very glad they did.
Excellent job. Well, there's a few things later on where they put it in the preview, and it's like, we're sitting here marking time, waiting for it to happen, because we know. But yeah, I thought the editing at the beginning was a little weird. It did really feel like we are just slamming as much as we can in the first 20 minutes. And then after we got past that, past what seemed to be the obligatory, oh no, here's our villain, we got to breathe. Like, by the time they pulled Robotnik back into the movie, by the time we got our first Jim Carrey scene, the movie was like, all right, we got it. We're here. Let's go. And the pacing and the editing was just so much better after that. Like, that was my one nitpick, was the first 20 minutes going, oh, you cut a lot and I can feel it. And then after that it was, oh no, this is fun.
Once they got, although I will say what ended up in the movie is still very
Oh my
good and
God,
very
yes.
impressive.
Yeah.
The most important thing to me, my boy, Shadow's characterization was on point. The stuff that they chose to keep from the games in terms of his characterization and his backstory, I feel like they did a really good job of streamlining all of that stuff.
And I feel like they adjusted well for the things that they did not take for a one-to-one, or the things that they were like, maybe this doesn't need to be here.
100%.
Like, we had a lot of fun little cameos in this one, you guys. And the two of us were going back and forth. Did you see this one? Did you get this musical sting? Did you? Like, there's two very different experiences for this movie. You're going because like, it's fun. It's a good time. You've seen the other two, or you're taking a younger or someone else or whatever. And then there's, we've been in it to win it for years.
They're just like
very
with
different experience.
Just like
equally fun, but very different.
Just like with the previous two movies, there's enough to entertain you if you're not a fan of the games. But for people who are big fans of the games, there is a lot of stuff that's like, obviously it's like wink and nudging, but like it doesn't feel like they're talking down. It doesn't feel too fan servicey, even when they're directly quoting the game that it's adapting.
It's the
I think
seen
it's
them
all
jump
very
out of a
fitting.
helicopter, and the last time we saw Sonic in a game jump out of a helicopter, that line, oh yeah. It's just, if you're just watching it casually, you're like, oh, it's a fun little Sonic witticism. And if you know, then you're like, they did the thing.
They did the thing. So yeah, you're not going to be lost if you're coming to this fresh, or if you've only seen the movies.
Yeah.
You're not going to be confused. But if you are a big fan of the games like we are, there is a lot for you to just sit there and be excited about while you're watching. Overall, really loved the action this time around. There was some really well choreographed stuff that made my little heart sing.
When you have two speedsters fighting, you can do some wild stuff. And they really, really went for it. Like, we've all seen the Akira slide in the trailer. The way that it was executed within the full
Even
scene.
better.
Oh my God.
Even better. We won't spoil it. We won't spoil it, but it's beautiful.
It's just like, oh, we have an Akira slide. And then they put it in context and you're like,
yo! That may be the coolest Akira slide I've ever seen!
So yeah, this is a movie that gets it in terms of fight choreography, in terms of... They didn't have as much for the non-Jim Carrey humans to do. And on the one hand, I do miss that because they are very much... I hesitate to say the heart and soul of the movie, but like, you can't build that scaffolding to the world with them, especially in that first movie, and then be like, well, they're not as fun. Well, they're not... Well, we don't need... I'm like, but they were amazing. And the wedding was the best scene in the second movie. Everyone can fight me on that one because it was my favorite damn thing that movie did.
It is something that
it's hard
pretty
to
much
balance.
The other bits of Sonic media that include human protagonists, and I'm mostly thinking of Sonic X. But
I went to 06. We went different places.
It's mostly 06 and X, Sonic X, but like I think you could also throw Sonic Unleashed in there too. Anytime you start incorporating people, and for the movies it started with pretty much all people, and then we've slowly been peppering in Sonic characters.
I mean, Jim Carrey is a cartoon character in and of himself.
With the exception of Eggman, people have always played less of an important role in pretty much all Sonic media. Or
it's hard to balance when you're used to superpowered furries.
Yeah. Again, with Sonic X...
Take that right out of context.
Oh, never again. Anyway,
woo!
With Sonic X and with these movies, the more Sonic characters you start to incorporate, you know... Your Knuckles and your Tails and your Amy's and your Shadows and your Metal Sonics and your Team Chaotix and your Creams and your Rouges
and your Blazes and your Silvers, and we're in full pie in the sky mode in case you couldn't tell at this point.
But yeah, everybody
we have such a huge cast of superpowered furries.
Yes.
That it's hard to put the normal ass humans in there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the normal ass humans have been built as the emotional core of these movies. Like,
so
the
it's
whole
a
thing
tricky.
has been about family. You cannot excise them without suffering some damage. And, like, if you've played the game, if you're familiar with the game, you will see the plot coming. Like, it is an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2. There are some zigs and zags, but for the most part, you kind of know the beats. If you're new to it, maybe this will all be new to you, and it'll be a wild one.
That's all we'll say about the game in the event that you haven't played it, because I'm sure that there are plenty of people who are sitting down to watch the movie who have not played the game.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
But this is, and maybe this is because of, familiarity with the game and whatnot, but in the first 20 minutes, one point they sat down, and I had a moment of, that is the emotional thesis statement of this movie. Like, that, you hear that, and you're like, oh, we're coming back to that in about 60 minutes.
Which I think it's a great progression of this version of Sonic's character.
Oh my god,
because, the first movie was all about him, like, learning how to care about other people and stuff like that. Or mostly being alone, and then, like, I think he and Tom go through...
integrating with society.
Yeah, because he wanted to belong hard. And, like, Tom was the one that sort of had to be convinced to care about him.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's what he learned to fight for. Not just his own survival, but for the people that he cares about. And movie number 2 is about him learning how to take responsibility. And
getting a Spider-Man lesson.
Yes, be the bigger person, and do the right thing even when it's hard. This movie is about, like...
This movie has some parallelism and a slightly different approach to things, and again, you will know the emotional thesis statement of this movie when you hear it. And in the way that Sonic movies do, it will come back around at the climax to great effect.
Basically,
as one does.
Basically, both Sonic and Shadow are presented with the same, I guess, starting point for a character arc, and how they approach that same thing, that same emotional thing, very differently because of their individual circumstances.
Yes. And they really do the, I don't want to be like dark reflection, but they really are doing the parallels and we've all seen it in the previews, why do you look like me? Why do you look like me? We didn't go full faker, but like, we went for it.
I mean, that's what Shadow has always been and was always meant to be, because he was only meant to be in one game initially.
And then boy, did he get popular.
Yeah, he was meant to be a dark reflection of Sonic. And, taking even within the context of the world, he is meant to be inadvertently, he is meant to be a dark reflection of Sonic. Inadvertently. That was not Gerald's intent.
In the context of the game world.
Yes.
This world, again, they do things differently because they've had a very different setup. All of the superpowered furries being aliens as opposed to being native to this really weird-ass planet.
And that's what I mean about streamlining a lot of the lore and everything like that. And I think it all worked really, really well.
I think the flashbacks were integrated. I think we got pieces of the story as we needed them. Jim Carrey chewing the scenery opposite himself is amazing, wonderful, glorious, my God.
Has he ever done another movie where he played against himself?
I wouldn't be surprised if he had.
I don't think so, but it's amazing.
It's been a dog's age since I've seen The Mask.
I don't believe he played against himself.
Oh, two different characters.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, I don't know that.
I mean, granted, his portrayal of Stanley Ipkiss versus Stanley Ipkiss wearing the mask, those are two very different performances.
But that is the point.
But he's not on screen, the two characters at the same time. So playing Ivo and Gerald is
nuts.
Very, very good choice, I think.
Very, very fun. Really, really chewed the scenery, poked the fourth wall a little bit. Like, he obviously had a very, very good time. There were some points for me where it was like, I know that we're letting Jim Carrey do his thing, but this scene has gone on for a hot minute, and I'm ready to see the furries again. I will
calling.
No, never. I hit superpowered furries and my brain went, oh, we're making fetch a thing.
I'm sitting here going, it's Team Sonic. Why are we calling them that? It's Team Knuckles.
Because I was also including Shadow in that. I did
I know.
Dear everyone who had no idea what they were in for when they clicked on this video because of search engine optimization, we've been going for 20 minutes. How are you still here? And also, hi! The whole channel's like this.
Oh gosh. Anyway.
Keanu was great.
Oh,
Keanu
wonderful
was perfect casting. The interviews he'd done talking about how he did his research and figured out how to approach the character, and I don't remember if this was an interview with casting or not, that he was essentially cast because people went, oh yeah, John Wick, yeah, he can do this. He did a very good job. There were some points where I was like, ah yes, a Keanu delivery, and then there were other points where I was just like, Shadow.
Yeah.
Completely not even thinking about, that is Keanu Reeves doing this voice. I was just sitting there going, oh, he's a sad hedgehog.
Just like with Sonic and Knuckles, I'm sitting here going, as much as I would have really, really loved for them to cast their, game counterparts, their game voice actors, because those, in my opinion, are the definitive voice actors in my head.
Yeah. For me, it's still Roger and Travis.
Oh, yeah. But, that being said, I think everybody who's played both of those roles has done a really good job. And I have different nostalgia places for every... technically, Dan Green did... I associate Dan Green as a Knuckles voice.
Oh, that's fair.
Because he did the voice in Sonic X and a number of the games as well. So,
Dan Green was doing everything on 4Kids.
Oh, yeah, he was doing so much. But I'm just saying, like everybody who's played it did a really good job.
Oh, yeah.
And as much as I would have liked for them to cast those voice actors like they did with Colleen, I am very happy with the celebrity voice casting that we did get, and Keanu knocks it out of the park just like Ben and Idris did. So
I mean, Colleen O'Shaughnessy is amazing. Bless her, she's wonderful, and of course, pitch perfect. So. Just like we sit here and then we talk about, the celebrity casting, and Colleen O'Shaughnessy is just holding up the fort in her corner going, yeah! I've been here for years!
I am very happy that Colleen got to stay after they cast her in the post-credit scene of the first movie, so.
And I mean, the fact that they didn't put her on the poster for the second film, and then everyone kind of went, excuse you, until they did, was like, hey kids, you're not allowed to do that shit.
Unfortunately, the Sonic redesign taught the internet that we can bully you into doing what we want.
Taught the Sonic fandom that works.
And we'll do it again, too.
We'll do it again!
Hopefully we'll use that power for good.
I mean, to be fair, when we did it again, it was to get Colleen O'Shaughnessy's name on the poster. So, using that power for good.
I'm again, to circle back to this movie.
Yes.
I am very pleased with it as an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2, my favorite Sonic game. I am very pleased with the performances. I'm very pleased with the action. And I'm very pleased with the score.
Oh my
choices
God, yes.
as well.
Like, we knew Live and Learn was going to be in it, and then the way that they used it was just let's go.
In one of the clips that they released, where, Shadow and Team Sonic meet for the first time, if you listen very carefully, Live and Learn is Shadow's leitmotif. And
they interviewed Johnny Galecki. That's his name? Say that right?
I can never pronounce it.
I Crush 40 interviewed. And they said, oh yeah, it's going to be in the movie, but not the way you expect. And they're right.
So,
really, and it's not in the way you expect, and it's also in the way you expect, and it's great.
No more.
We have a spoiler section in a little bit.
But again, the musical choices overall are very, very good, and there are a few other nods to music within Sonic Adventure 2 as well, if you know what to listen for.
Oh yeah, and there were a few points, I was looking at the music and the credits and going, when did they play that? I missed that one. Like, hang on, I gotta go see the movie again.
I'm like, I caught that one. Yeah. I missed that one, but I caught that one.
Yeah, we were comparing references. Did you see this? Did you hear that? Like, yeah, it's a good time. If you have not seen either of the other two Sonic movies, you will probably be really confused. If you have,
I was going to say, if your children are dragging you to it,
if your children are dragging you to
and
it,
you're
gonna be missing some context, but you'll be able to follow along. Like, you'll be confused, but it won't be completely wild. If you have seen the other two movies and haven't done the games or anything, no, this is very well self-contained. And also, this is very well adapted. It's a good story.
The Knuckles TV series is not required viewing necessarily to sit down and be able to understand.
It helps to have context for a little bit, but it is definitely not required.
It's not required. Yeah. It's fun. We have more critical things to say about the Knuckles TV series.
There's some lore questions about the Knuckles TV series where I'm just sitting here going, I'm sorry, what? But if you need something to sell you on the Knuckles TV series, one of the episodes is a puppet rock opera. It is a puppet rock opera.
Again.
And it's worth watching.
It is the thing that I think we both liked best in the entire series that also presented the most lore questions where we're like, hold on, we need to talk about this. And then the series just kept going.
Is like, we're not talking about this.
I'm like, I
don't care if it was backstory. You need to give me the details here. Regardless. I think that's the end of our spoiler-free section.
I think so.
So, if you would like to go see the movie and not be spoiled, now is where you stop the video and go see the movie.
But yeah, our takeaway.
Our takeaway is, oh my god, yeah. Well,
big thumbs up.
I mean, wearing the Sonic shirt, wearing the designs on the back. It's a Hypeland shirt, so a lot of the designs are on the back. Yeah, Hypeland has a Sonic line and it's beautiful. Not sponsored, just love it. Okay, so has everyone who wanted to not be spoiled left? Great. I'm so happy with the way they handled Maria. Oh my god. That was the big question. So for those of you who have seen the movie or just want to do spoiler chat, which, hi, you're not going to have a lot of context for this, and have not done the original game, the idea was that Maria, I think in the game, was a little younger, and had some form of terminal illness. And so the whole thing was actually in space, on the Space Colony Ark. Gerald was up there trying to help her and trying to create the ultimate life form in the process. And Shadow was actually draft 2. The first draft was
the bio-lizard.
The bio-lizard was the cameo in the little movie they were watching.
And so canonically, Gerald did research on, like, the Master Emerald and came across stuff about Chaos, and the figure prophesied to defeat Chaos, which is supersonic, which is why Shadow looks like supersonic.
And why Bio-Lizard is a mess.
And why Bio-Lizard looks kind of like Chaos.
So yeah, but the other thing is, like, after a little bit, Gunn kind of went, well, this could be bad, because, you know, there's also a giant laser weapon on the Space Colony Ark for fucking reasons, I guess.
That tells me that the military was always planning on using that facility for bad things.
In the game, Gunn basically went, actually, what if we just shut this down the most violent way possible, sent troops up to the Ark to kind of clear the place out. Gerald was arrested. Maria, who Shadow had been raised with her, basically, best of friends, basically shoved him in a tube to be jettisoned to Earth, and the second before that happened, the military shot her. So, we were always kind of wondering, like, how is this movie gonna handle that?
Yeah, because it's
oh my god,
it's the it's the inciting thing for his backstory. You cannot introduce Shadow as a character without
Maria and Maria's tragic death,
unless
as caused by Gunn.
Yeah,
but the thing is, you also really maybe don't want to show that on a screen or in the current political climate like at all. That's really, really fucked up, you guys.
And I think they did a really good job.
Yes, of having it be an accident. Like, yes, there was violence involved, but it turned into, you know, one person going, hey, what the fuck, she's a kid, don't do that. And the ricochet and the thing exploding and, you know.
It was an accident, not an on-purpose murder.
Yeah. That would
not
like,
on-purpose child murder.
She still died. It was still very tragic, and it still drove both Gerald and Shadow off the deep end, but it wasn't directly.
And something I
really should have put a content warning before that.
I mean,
sorry guys.
You could make a note.
I think I will.
Spoiler warning.
Yeah, that's oh dear.
I will also say I very much appreciate. I mentioned earlier during our spoiler-free talk that I really liked Shadow's characterization and streamlining everything about his backstory, but more than anything, I loved getting to see Maria and him interact together as people. Like, as much as I love Sonic Adventure 2, she is a plot device.
Mm-hmm.
She is a plot device to give Shadow his character motivation.
She is there to be fridged.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's so nice in the year of our Lord 2024 to get 2 pieces of media, 3 actually, that treat her like a person.
Right?
And that is just so good. And the personality that they give her in this, one, she's not terminally ill, it seems. Or if she was, they
didn't mention it. It's just
they removed that got left on the cutting room floor.
It's just that's his granddaughter. He takes her everywhere, and somehow has the clearance to do it, I suppose.
Yeah, she lives here now.
Yeah, she lives here now.
He put that
in this bunker.
But yeah, getting to actually see their friendship in like, it's wholesome, it's sweet, it's heartbreaking, and it's really cute too because the movie takes place in 2024. And so
this was in 50 years prior was
so it's the 70s. So you get to see her in these cute little 70s outfits.
She's got
her guitar.
And she's got little roller skates.
Oh my gosh, the roller skates.
Cute.
Filled my heart up so much.
They have a blanket for, like, it's all really adorable. And it's very much, even from the get-go, her sneaking around in places where she shouldn't be, finding him and being the first person to reach out and be like, hey, you and me, let's do this.
I mean,
because he came down in a bubble dog, in a meteor. He landed from a meteor, and he straight up does not remember where he's from.
I think is a fun nod to the game Shadow the Hedgehog, where the big thing at the end of the game that you have to destroy is a giant meteor. That Black Doom has taken control over. It's very silly.
Black Doom? We're not asking.
We're not getting into that right now. We don't have time. But I love too that she is the one that sets the literal note that this movie starts out on with, Shadow's asleep and remembering her. And they also make it very clear that he's been reliving this trauma over and over and over again for 50 years.
Like, they put him into stasis, but they didn't shut down the brain, so he's just been marinating.
He's been stewing in his loss and grief for 50 years. That's great. That's terrible for him, but that's great for us as fans.
Like, she died tragically. Mm-hmm. He was immediately treated as definitely not a person. Was like, well, you're too dangerous. Stasis. I was like, so... yeah, the last bit of humanity and you died with her, huh?
Well, and I love too, the characterization for him. It felt very Sonic Adventure 2 authentic.
Yes.
And not, no shade to anybody who likes it, but I'm not a big fan of the Shadow the Hedgehog
Double the
game.
Mickey Mouse.
They made him much more of an edgelord in that one, like, to the point where it's almost a parody of what he was in Sonic Adventure 2, and seemed to
miss... gave him a gun?
It missed the point of why people liked his character to begin with. Yeah. This felt very authentic to his character in Sonic Adventure 2. To the point where, he's not just bloodthirsty for the sake of being bloodthirsty. He is a compassionate person in that game. He's just driven by one specific goal. He's like, yes, I will eliminate all of humanity. But shoot, I need to go and save that person that I've been working with. That's really obnoxious.
So inconvenient.
Like, I don't have to, but like, I have to. Oh my gosh.
And in this, he and Gerald are very much on a genocide run. Except, it's not just a genocide run, it's a murder-suicide.
But that's what I mean. At one point in the plot...
it's Agent Stone that goes, he's the first person to go, hang the fuck on. And also, my god, the running thread with the soap opera.
So good.
For one, I almost leaned over and went, Jennifer dumped me, as a joke. For Game Grumps people out there, you got me. For another, it's just
Gabriella should kill them both.
She is not a prize to be won. That and Revenge Guac are just like, if we ever do a
movie night where we throw on Sonic 3, we are definitely making Revenge Guac.
I know how to make fresh guacamole. We will make Revenge Guac.
But like, I really appreciate it again. Like, even though like global destruction is his goal, like, again, he's not out to cause like when he attacks Tom because he mistakes him for the gun general that he's posing as, when he realizes what happened, he's not gonna finish the job. He's also not happy about it.
Yeah.
Like, because it reminds him of the thing that he lost seeing Sonic, right
Freak
there.
out.
I mean, he does double
if you remove the humans from the emotional core of the movie, it damages things.
He doubles down when Sonic...
who you are in here.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the thesis statement. Let's go.
He doubles down outwardly when Sonic, like, calls him out on it.
What was his name? Tom.
But, like, he's doing that because he wants to die, not because he's happy that he did it.
No, that was very much, I could die here. Great.
Yeah.
And when because he does not throw that fight, but when he loses, it's straight up, do it, you coward.
Yeah. What are you waiting for? I will say, kind of jumping into that, I thought that the team, like, the Supersonic versus... I don't want to jump around too much, but the Supersonic versus Super Shadow fight, absolutely excellent. Wonderful choreography. Again, my fangirl heart leapt with joy. I do want to talk a little bit about the Team Sonic dynamic, though, because part of the arc here is all three of them, like, kind of figuring out the mechanics of being in a team. And when you incorporate a character like Shadow as, you know, having to balance the human characters, Team Sonic,
there's a lot of moving parts.
There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of lore that comes with Shadow's introduction. And anytime you have, because the Sonic cast is so big, as we mentioned during our spoiler-free part of the review, sometimes you have Sonic characters in a game or in a Sonic story
that don't get anything to do.
And they don't have anything to do. And I was kind of concerned going into this movie that Knuckles and Tails weren't going to have as much to do. I don't think that this movie had that problem necessarily.
No. I do think the scene in Gun Headquarters was very much the everyone needs something to do, and so they made sure everyone could. And I will say, break glass in case of emergency continues to amuse me, and I did enjoy that.
I like their sibling dynamic, too.
Oh my
I think
God,
it's fun.
Yes. But I really do think that was the, okay, everyone needs something to do. Can we loop Tom and Maddie back in? I did like that they picked up 8,000 hobbies in the presumably less than a week.
I think their children have only been gone for 5 hours.
It had to have been long enough for all of that to happen, and guys, crocheting takes a lot of time.
I think it was maybe 3 days tops.
Yeah, it was not much. I love that they basically went, we live in rural Montana, and climbed the walls until their kids showed back up with a life altering.
Oh, thank God.
Because, I mean,
we were so bored.
They empty nested for about 3 days, and it was the worst.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even when there's not something crazy going on, it's still, you have 3 superpowered teenagers. Well, Tails. Who knows? Tails is still kind of, he's bitty.
He's a baby.
He's bitty. Living in your house, yeah, it's gonna be wild. Are they all sharing the attic room upstairs? That's nuts.
I feel like Knuckles sort of comes and goes as he pleases. He's got a motorcycle.
Knuckles lives in the backyard. He made himself a treehouse.
I think he probably bounces back and forth between their house and Wade's garage, if we're being honest.
Yeah. But I really do think it is like, yes, that is our oldest. This is our middle, and that's our youngest. We have 3 boys.
We have 3 boys. I do like that they maintain, too, that, like, Sonic and Knuckles are on different pages about certain things. Mm-hmm. Like, when Sonic
don't want to fight you, I very much want to fight him.
Yeah, and when Sonic makes the executive decision of, okay, we need the Master Emerald, we need...
Because he also makes that decision when
earlier on, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, earlier on it was, no, we said we don't use it.
I'm going to stick to my promise.
I actually did not read that as, and this is going to be a plot point. I read that as, for anyone who's going to fucking nitpick about this, this is why it's off the table. And then it came back and it was, oh, I really should have seen that as a plot point. I know how this game goes. So, and the fact that he's making that choice in anger, that he's having that immediate whiplash of, Dad's in the hospital? So, yeah.
Which, it's not something that the modern games really delve into, because Sonic, for the most part in the games, is pure of heart and will never be corrupted by the ultimate power that the emeralds bring.
He's a teenager, but he's like a media teenager. So a lot of that is more responsible than most teenagers are at about that age. And again, your brain's not done cooking yet.
But I like that at the end of Sonic 2, they kind of make a nod to the Fleetway comics where becoming supersonic actually does turn him evil. Like, Knuckles is like, whoa guys, that's not your kid anymore, like, he's become something else. Oh wait, never mind, he's still a dork.
It's like,
never
wait,
mind.
no, still him.
But yeah, like...
Because, like, ultimate power corrupts ultimately, you know?
Yeah, and yeah, when you're an angry teenager because someone in your family's in the hospital, yeah, if you have a cheat code to make yourself invincible,
so you can go punch a guy, you're gonna do it. You're gonna make that bad decision.
And I think it's good that he and Knuckles were on opposite pages about that.
And with the theme of the movie being make good decisions, like when they send them off for the mission at the very beginning, it's make good decisions. It's one of the last things Maddie says.
It's almost
to them.
like if you can live and learn as you grow. As you...
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. No, I love it. I love it. It's perfect. All the lyrical complexity of Crush 40.
But also, like, I think in terms of, like, giving Team Sonic something to do, that bit where they team up with Robotnik very briefly.
And where they split off. I'm so glad that they canonized Knuckles' fear of ghosts.
I am too.
And so, just the brief movie night with Casper and him freaking out. There is no such thing as a friendly ghost.
Which is so funny because it's such a small part of Sonic Adventure 2, and yet fans have always taken it and been like, he's terrified of ghosts.
He does not like the spoopy.
We're going to hold on to that forever.
And the fact that they went with that, and then Shadow showing up behind him, just boom. Like,
perfect. Beautiful.
amazing perfection. A
but
plus,
also
no notes.
teaming Tails up with Stone.
Yeah.
Which BTW, I really liked I like Agent Stone in all three of these movies.
Yes.
I'm never disappointed when Agent Stone is on screen.
This man deserves so much more. But I think the big thing, aside from, the breakup call, was the conversation with Tails. Like, what's it like being his lackey? Do you get vacation days? Do you get,
You're like his assistant.
His assistant. Yeah. But we're friends and we're a team and we all bring something.
Yeah, specifically Tails goes, well, I'm not his assistant, we're teammates. Like, I'm the tech guy, Knuckles is the muscle, and Sonic is the leader. We all bring something to the table, and also we're best friends. Mm-hmm. And that just like you are with Eggman, and you could just see it crush poor Stone. It's just like, oh, buddy.
The real big, if you look closely, you can see the exact moment his heart rips in half.
And there.
Yeah. It's like, dude, come on.
You deserve better,
you
buddy.
So much better. You were so happy with your weird little latte shop.
I will say, one missed
that.
opportunity I really, really, really would have liked for Stone, as much as I loved Revenge Guac, I really would have liked Stone to have made a cup of coffee for Shadow.
Right?
Just
giving him some coffee beans.
Yeah. Just
There's only so many weird little things you can make canon, but come on, guys.
He's working on the espresso, and he's like, oh, could you hold these for a second? And Shadow just starts eating.
I like these.
Look, I know Twitter takeovers are not canon.
But they should be.
But also, he dressed up as a barista in Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. I know that game's canonicity is also kind of questionable. I consider it canon, that's for sure.
I think I put the VOD from our playthrough on this channel. I think I did.
Rolling around at
my God. One of the dumbest gaming moments I have literally ever had. And my God, I played Overwatch for years, but no! Anyway, I have a Twitch, it's there, it's highlighted if you really want to see the stupid.
We did a little character voices too.
She did excellent character voice. I was sitting here going, I'm trying my best, and she's over here actual pitch and inflection. I need to step up my game.
To talk about how big of a Sonic fan I am, when my younger sibling was very, very young, we had little Sonic Adventure action figures that we bought from Blockbuster that we would play. That when my younger sibling was a toddler, we would play with them together all the time because there's an 8-year age gap, and so doing little Sonic characters is something that deeply ingrained. And so when we got to play that game and we got the opportunity to do character voices, I was just so over the moon. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just like being a kid again and playing with my younger sibling again, just without the little action figures. It was so fun.
And I voicing the protagonist, whom we named Bob, because if given the opportunity, I name everything Bob, because Titan AE was a formative movie in my youth. I spent a good chunk of that game talking to myself. I think at one point I handed Sonic off to you, or I handed someone off to you because it was an extended conversation.
There was
I was like, I can't do this.
There was a few bits where we were like, okay, yeah, this is a little one-sided.
It's like, all right, you take it. I am doing the Game Grumps playing Danganronpa bit right now, and I'm not good at it. Anyway, boy, that was a little.
Anyway, sorry.
For this video. We had
Point being,
fun here.
I really liked the very brief time on screen where Stone and Shadow got to interact. I would have definitely
loved the crab.
The crab was great.
The crab was great, and just come step into the crab. Like, and why is this amazing to me?
We mentioned it earlier, but the break into gun headquarters I thought was really well done in terms of, like, I also love the way the Eclipse cannon was used in this movie. Again, for streamlining all the stuff with Shadow, you have to explain so much about, like, oh yeah, in the 70s there was a secret space colony. Like, that would be too much to put into the movie in an exposition. It's too much to just, like, sit down and explain.
But I traded them a weapon for, was it My Freedom? It was something.
Yeah. And
I traded them a huge ass super weapon for My Freedom. I have to wonder what we built it. Whoa, words. It's like, they built it specifically to my specifications, and then there were the two, like, suits in there. I'm like, did they build those two? Were those part of your specifications? Sir, they hand-waved so much. That is not a nitpick, by the way. I would not put it past Gunn to do that.
Also, great suits, by the way.
Oh my god,
I am a big fan of the way they made the Eggman suit look in this movie. Very, very fun.
I'm not over the fact that they killed 2, possibly 3 human characters. We went from a kill count of 0 explicitly, across 2 movies to 2.5? 3? We are very uncertain as to whether Olive Garden guy went to the big Olive Garden in the sky, or if he's actually still around.
He's being entertained by Chow in heaven now.
I guess.
He's in the Chow sanctuary.
He's in the big Olive Garden in the sky. He might be. We don't know. I assumed that like, because the way it was played, it seemed like, oh yeah, he's super dead. And then, who was playing the new commander? What is her name?
Kristen Ritter.
Thank you.
Jessica Jones.
It is Kristen Ritter, because my brain filled in Christy Carlson Romano and will not unfill that, and I know that's wrong. I would have loved it, but I know it's wrong.
In terms of nitpick stuff,
boy, she did nothing.
I feel like I loved the physical comedy that she and Jim Carrey did in their scene together.
Again, the heist.
In a scene that was explicitly inspired by the Crazy Gadget level in Sonic Adventure 2. In that level, you are playing with gravity, and you have to solve a gravity puzzle in order to, like, make it to the finish line. Yeah. And so in this particular sequence, there is a room where to get to the super weapon that they're trying to get to.
You have to work with variable gravity.
Yeah, they have gravity as a security measure there, and that bit gets broken, and so some people are stuck to the ground and some people are floating in the air, and I'm just like, this is Crazy Gadget. I love it so much.
Yeah, it is a wild one. I feel like there was a lot more that she did that was on the cutting room floor. I feel like we needed to have someone fill in after Olive Garden potentially shuffled off his mortal coil. He's got a name. I don't remember it. It's Olive Garden.
I mean, I've been calling it since movie 1. I'm like, there's no way that guy's not involved with Gunn.
Yeah.
And then when he came back being involved with Gunn.
Like, explicitly. And then this one being, oh yeah, no, he was there 50 years ago, and he was actually a fairly chill dude. I'm like, yeah, but Shadow has been marinating in this trauma for 50 years. He's not gonna stop and see that he just kind of became a guy who loves Olive Garden.
Well, and also...
And you don't get to be the head of a military organization without doing some shit, let's be real.
And also, to Shadow's credit, Olive Garden guy was the one that made the call to put him in the tube.
That's very fair. He was the one that tubed him.
So, yeah.
And the last person he before going on, like, okay.
Like, and I think it's fun too, again, for again, I'm not a big fan of the 2004 game, but there is a military character who canonically, also was around on the Ark, during that whole time, and so had a connection to both Shadow and Maria. And so I like tweaking that a little bit and keeping that sort of like where, yeah, there is an older person here who is a member of Gun who knows all of this stuff. And I also like, as much as it surprised me when the trailer dropped, I like the option of keeping Gerald alive for the events of this movie too. One, because it gives us a chance to see Jim Carrey play opposite himself, but two, so that you're not finding out all this stuff about what happened 50 years ago in logbooks and exposition.
Yeah.
Like,
it works for a video game.
Yeah,
it doesn't work as well for a movie.
Yeah, you can show stuff visually, like that moment when Gerald runs into Maria's room and goes, "Kids, we gotta go." Because technically speaking, that is the reveal that he is Maria's grandfather. Like for anybody who didn't know ahead of time, or for anybody who couldn't put two and two together, Yeah. That moment is technically supposed to be the reveal there.
And for those of you who are here just for spoiler reasons and let the video run, if you're doing the math, Maria and Ivo Robotnik are cousins. They're both Gerald's grandkid. And oh my god!
I can't believe we haven't talked about this yet!
Fucking Gerald Robotnik. Oh my god. I do love that he can be just absolutely crazy, loopy, silly. And that it can turn on a dime. I loved the Robotnik slap fight getting intercut between the Super Saiyan Hedgehog fight. Like that back and forth was amazing. And as much as I rag on the editing at the beginning of the movie, the fact that they made the editing choice to intercut a little bit and then pull the Robotniks out and focus fully on the Hedgehogs when it really started getting serious and when we had the emotional moments, I'm right here, kill me, no I can't do that, the sunrise over the earth, the emotional thesis statement from Maria coming back around, I love that. Very much appreciate
emotional thesis, by the way.
Oh my god, yes. I appreciate the editors pulling back on that, and then once we had that resolution and we're gonna work together, then cutting back to the arc to Jim Carrey spanking Jim Carrey with giant scorpion claws. With giant hand, rather. Like, alrighty,
but
cool.
The line that we were referencing just in terms of, oh my god, Maria and Ivo being cousins isn't something that the games really super delve into a lot, up until recently,
There are logs from Robotnik from Eggman, in Sonic Frontier, where he does talk about it and mention Maria. Like, people really seem to like her.
Like, everybody really loved her. I'm wondering if Sage is like how Maria was.
You don't really think about the fact that under different circumstances, they would have been contemporaries.
Yeah. Had she not gotten ill, everything
checks notes, murdered.
Well, and also, if his grandfather had stuck around and not gone insane, who knows? Ivo's life might have been completely different.
Yeah. And then what they build in the movies is that he was an orphan, didn't know his parents, etc. So it's like, Grandpa's been around for checks notes 110 years, but he's also got that weird licking the quill addiction. So
the implication being that chaos energy can keep you functionally immortal.
And quite frankly, if they do, Sonic 4 has been announced. So if they do pull back Jim Carrey for Sonic 4, that's the explanation. It turns out that strange addiction will keep you around forever.
But the line that again, just
when Ivo is trying to, understanding, this is gonna kill...
Wait, it's gonna destroy the Earth and kill us?
Gerald went, I've had my granddaughter for all of her life, and if anything happened to her, I would kill everyone on this planet and then myself. And the universe went, oh yeah?
And then killed Maria. So Gerald went, all right.
He's gonna do it. So then Ivo finding out, hang the fuck on. I didn't sign up for that. I signed up to rule this.
Yeah, and he's like, if we destroy it, there will be nothing to rule. And then also we'll be dead.
Yeah. And trying to appeal to the, but you're my grandpa, but
we're family.
And Gerald coming back with, you're no Maria. Just like, sir! Sir!
That was probably, like, I was fully expecting...
That was so rude!
I was fully expecting the Maria and Shadow bits in this movie to make me cry. I was not expecting that line to punch me in the gut. I was like, whoa!
Just my family died that day. Like, no, I've been using you. You're nothing to me. And poor Ivo, who they had a full, like, holographic, let's spend a day as a family together. Amazing montage. Again, Jim Carrey chewing the scenery twice over.
And again, Gerald probably being like, I'm gonna be a good grandpa and make my grandson's last day on Earth.
Yeah. Just like,
not too terrible.
Just like, I'm gonna miss him when he's gone. I would say that, but I'm not. Just straight up, you're no Maria. I was like, whoa!
Dang, dude.
And then his death was just...
Yeah.
Like, he got thrown into the reactor, and it was, my grandpappy makes one heck of a bug zapper, and I'm like, he just... Whoa! Like, I got one of those, like, wild laughs, because I was not expecting that. It is basically a Disney villain death.
It is both not graphic, but horrible.
Yeah.
Like, it's horrifying.
Like, boy, at least it was quick.
I will say, though,
the only person in the movie not killed by an explosion.
I mean, the way he died in the game was he is dead long before the events of the actual game. He died 50 years ago by firing squad. Mm-hmm. While he was while he was a captive of the military. I think that for the purposes of making him the villain of this movie, I think that him overtly manipulating Shadow into creating the energy needed to power this super weapon, I think it's very fitting that he is killed by that very energy.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He is quite literally the architect of his own demise.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
And it was a point where Shadow had accidentally fucked up Tom and was kind of having second thoughts at that point, like, oh, that's what it looks like from the other side.
Oh, it's making me feel feelings.
Like, hang on,
don't make me empathize with the blue one.
Like, hang on, I don't actually like that. Like that, I know how to be, and that sucks. Like
the thing he wants is to inflict pain as he's felt it on the people who hurt him, and then when he inflicts that pain on someone who doesn't deserve it, namely, Tom and subsequently Sonic,
him, some random ass stranger.
Yeah. But then, seeing how that impacts Sonic, like, you could definitely see the wheels turning of, like, like, causing pain in the way that he thought he wanted, in no way, shape, or form brought him joy. And
that moment of, oh, this sucks, actually. Oh, no.
And he actually goes to Gerald afterwards, and he's like, before he powers the Eclipse cannon, he's like, are we sure this is what Maria would have wanted?
And Gerald's like, remember your pain! And then he goes and does the thing. Like, yeah, he's been marinating in that for about 50 years. It's kind of hard for 5 days above the surface to,
Well, and Gerald twisting the knife and putting salt in the wound, being like, it doesn't really matter what she would have wanted. What matters is what they did to her.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh!
It's like, she's gone, and it's their fault, so now it's vengeance time. It's like, alright, so he is captain of the SS Not Okay.
Ooh! Alrighty.
Deep end. Gerald's doing great, and he's taking everyone with him. I do appreciate while we're having the robot fight on the outside, I'm like, which one to use, Omega? Having to turn the laser and just I did it! And then accidentally slicing up the moon and look what you did!
Excellent. And again, I think it's a great nod to, because like Sonic Adventure 2 ends in a very, very anime way. In a way that the Sonic games are constantly trying to recapture, but like, in my opinion, all subsequent iterations sort of fall short. But basically all of the characters are on the arc as it's descending, and they're cheering on Sonic and Shadow. And so I like having Eggman, Knuckles, and Tails having to actively do something, again, while Super Sonic and Super Shadow are doing their thing. I'm like, yeah, this is great. This is great.
And the stopping the beam and going, this was your big plan? Yes! I didn't really have time! Like, yeah, no, he's not a long distance. I do appreciate the difference of, like, Shadow has different chaos energy, has been stewing in this longer. And so Sonic kind of giving out first.
Although...
And Shadow sticking around. Like, to me, that makes sense.
I appreciate that, like, when Shadow first turns into super mode, he actually doesn't, he shorts out first because he has no idea what he's doing.
Oh, yeah, I know.
He's just like, oh, yeah, I don't... Which is, I think, a strong implication.
He has God and anime on his side and doesn't know what to do with either of them.
Which I think it's never explicitly stated, but I think that's one of the reasons why he ends up dying in the game. Dying. He survives. But, like, he just...
As do the 50,000 clones of him buried under the earth. The games get weird, you guys.
He fought the Biolizard beforehand, and then, like, he's never gone super mode before, so yeah, it makes sense
he fought the Biolizard, and then he fought the Biolizard, and then you'll never believe
he fought gravity.
Yeah. He tried defying gravity, and he's no Elphaba.
But so I appreciate him, like, that little nod too. And yeah, I liked the little nod of the inhibitor rings as well. I thought it was a very good, talking about Sonic X, I think it's a really fun nod to Sonic X as well, in terms of, like, the way that sequence is framed in the Sonic Adventure 2 adaptation part of Sonic X. It's the two of them standing there as opposed to flying up, and I really liked having that little nod there. But also, there are multiple bits of Sonic media where he removes his inhibitor rings, and that's how you know, oh shit, stuff's about to go down.
Oh, shit's fucked.
I will say that for anybody who's not familiar with Shadow, you'll see that and then you're confused. You're like, what? Why did he have bracelets?
An accessory.
Why did he need to take off the bracelet?
I think anyone who grew up on, let's be real, Dragon Ball Z, understands the taking off the weighted clothing part of the equation. Like, you don't necessarily have to be familiar with that bit of Sonic as long as you're familiar with that bit of anime.
Yeah.
The context is there.
But if the inhibitor rings come off, there's a good chance that he's like, I'm probably not walking away here.
He's like, well, I guess I'll die. He takes them off and then does this.
Mean, not always. I think his story in Sonic 06, that's how that particular storyline ends. I don't think he's fully planning on, like, dying in that particular context.
No,
but most of the time,
usual track record is
most of the time it's I have no other choice now. Again, might not be walking away.
And I do like that we removed our heroic protagonists from the situation in order to have the if this blows, the Earth is fucked. So you and I need to fix what Gerald started.
We need to do the right thing.
We helped him get this far in this genocide plan. Mm-hmm. We need to fix it. And again, leaving it open-ended for, we could just hand wave and say that he's functionally immortal as long as he's got a good dose of chaos energy. So we could totally say, like, he made it back to Earth somehow, despite being the only person who could definitely not survive the vacuum. Everyone else can, sure, but he can't. And then the post-credit scene of just like, hey, my inhibitor, I missed that.
I'm
end of the credits, Shadow the Hedgehog will return.
I'm pleased that he's sticking around.
I kind of hope they give him a miniseries. I would love to see him wander and be amnesiac.
I would like that too.
Where did that come from? The games.
I would like that too. I would actually be okay if we skipped over the amnesia plot line. Just because
Fair.
I'm like, we've done it before, it's fine.
I mean, again,
it depends on what
stuff with Shadow gets really weird in the games, to the question of, is this the original one? Or is it one of the many, many clones that was found at the beginning of a different game?
I'll save you some
what
time.
What the fuck?
It's the original. There we go. It's the original. I've saved you many hours of gameplay.
It's pretty fucky. Things get really fucky with Shadow.
No, canonically speaking, if you get the final ending of Shadow the Hedgehog, there is confirmation that he is the original Shadow.
Yes.
The fact that it's called into question at all is
that's what I mean.
Not just one, but 2 games. It's throughout all of Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog. You're like, is he the OG one that I care about, or is he a clone?
Sonic
it's hard
Heroes,
to say.
they're like, here's this information. We're gonna play the rest of the game now and just leave you to stew in that. And Shadow is like, but what if we introduced aliens? Like, okay.
What's up?
It's me, the devil. Snap cube doves. So you went there and I went, aliens. Anyway, I think we need to talk about our post-credit scene and then call it, because we've been going for an hour.
Before we get to the post-credit scene, we talked a little bit about the humans, in terms of Tom and Maddie, Maria, and Olive Garden guy, Gerald, and we are missing 2 that were present in the previous movie, Rachel and Randall. Their wedding in the previous movie, again, huge highlight, wonderful.
So
they're
good.
not technically in this movie. However, Maddie and Tom pretend to be them.
My cat's misbehaving. Sorry. Winter. What
Yeah.
are you doing?
She's being a troublemaker.
Move!
Because we're not paying attention to her.
She's so mad. Sorry. The behind the scenes gets in front of the scenes.
But yeah, technically speaking, those characters are not in this movie. However, Tom and Maddie pretend to be them with holograms, thank you, Tails, to infiltrate the gun base. So,
Maddie pretending to be Rachel to Karen her way past the front desk is amazing. And just being Rachel's fine.
And we were talking about, Shadow still being around at the end of this. I was super predicting that JoJo was going to play a role in this, since we don't have Amy Rose, to be there to remind Shadow of like, hey, and he's also not suffering from amnesia in the way that he was in the game, so like having Amy there to remind him helped his emotional through line in the game. Yeah. There wasn't anybody for that here, so we were like, oh, is JoJo going to be the one? Because in Sonic X, it was the character Chris, because he was a human, and everything like that, so easy for him to make that connection. Maybe they'll do the same thing with this movie.
And for here, they just went, she is not appearing in the movie at all. Like,
so
damn it.
If they do additional Shadow content within this world, I really hope we get some stuff with him and JoJo, adopting him.
Also, the implication that Rachel now works for Gunn.
Yeah.
The organization that ruined her wedding.
I don't think she works for Gunn because they explicitly said, I'm here to have lunch with my wife, Rachel.
Yes, but she came in a gun uniform.
Yeah,
she came in
crazy.
BDUs.
That's
You do not wear BDUs unless...
That's stolen valor, right?
Well, not... BDUs, you can get them in surplus shops, etc. But generally speaking, with, like, the ranking and the name and whatnot, you especially do not fucking wear BDUs into a military installation unless you are a member of that military installation. So again, because, oh boy, kids, we don't fuck around.
Yeah, again, that would be stolen valor, I think, right?
I don't know if that's the term. I think the technical term is a bad idea.
But yeah, it's the
I was raised military.
It's the only bit of them that we get in the movie, and it is a little bit, again, since the wedding was such a highlight in the previous movie, it is kind of like it would have been good. But I get it. As the cast gets bigger, it's hard to keep everybody involved.
Give me the miniseries with the two of them, JoJo and Shadow.
I would watch that. I would watch that so hard.
I want that so much. I don't know if they can afford Keanu miniseries rates. It would have to be real short for the same reason that, like, they could afford Idris Elba and almost no one else.
I will say that if you're gonna do a Knuckles series and not make it about chaos and to call, like, you could give me a Shadow series where JoJo adopts him.
Yes. Give me that. Give me that beautiful weirdo reintegrating into society. 50 years later, looking at the technical marvels and going, what do you mean there's not another Bio-Lizard movie? What is Godzilla?
When the Blu-ray gets released, I really, really hope that they have Attack of the Alien Freak available as a special feature. That would be delightful. He and Maria watched an old kaiju movie, and you pointed this out.
Yeah,
I
was amazed that you missed it. I was looking at that going, that's the Bio-Lizard. That is the Bio-Lizard.
I think I was
okay, but no way he's appearing in this because that's the cameo.
But yeah, I would love for that to be a feature on the DVD / Blu-ray. That would be delightful.
The idea that either this is this world's Godzilla or this was competition to Godzilla.
It would be so great.
But I love it.
But with those characters not really being in the movie, do you feel a little cheated? Because again, the wedding was such a highlight.
Not particularly, because again, I don't think there was room for them. I think they balanced everything out as best they could. And like you said, when you add Shadow's backstory, you have to do so much heavy lifting. Well, putting more emotional pillars into the thing. Like, they did the best they could. They had to write a movie that very heavily paralleled a character we've had from the beginning and a character that's brand new to this particular iteration of the franchise. So you have to do some lifting with the backstory. We did a shit ton of that with Knuckles when we got him. We didn't get as much with Tails, but God bless him, Tails is just kind of adorable. Like, he's a chill guy.
He's our
Thank
little guy.
God he's a chill guy because he could be a supervillain so easily.
He's our little buddy.
And he's just
I was gonna say
not doing that.
That's what Sonic Prime is about. What if Tails was a supervillain?
Sonic Prime is very much what if Tails was a supervillain. Like, it's bad, actually. The series is very, very fun to watch. And also, oh God. Oh God, that poor child really needed a hug about 8 years ago and never got one. Oh my God. Yeah, no, that is Sonic Prime. Sonic Boom edges on, like, very much, you're lucky we're friends. Sonic Boom is amazing. If you haven't watched Sonic Boom, fuck the game, whatever. Watch the Game Grumps playthrough of the game. Watch the Sonic Boom cartoon. It is so good.
It's very fun. Just know going into it that it's going to be caricatures of all of these characters.
Yeah, no, it's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
It is a situational comedy, but my God, it's one of those ones where we still quote stuff from it.
Oh my goodness, it's just so fun.
It's really good. Anyway, speaking of characters in Sonic Boom, mid-credits scene. So, you have to bring up this theory because I had no fucking clue.
I wish I could credit the proper person on Twitter because I saw this theory on Twitter. I don't know whose account it was. I'm so sorry, but this is not something I am taking credit for. But there is a theory that Maddie's outfits essentially foreshadow who is going to be in the post-credit scene. In the first movie, there is an extended part of the movie where she is wearing yellow and blue, and we get Tails in the post-credit scene, or in the mid-credit scene. And then in the second movie, there's a period where she's wearing red and black, and we got Shadow. I was 100% convinced we were going to get Metal Sonic, and then they dropped 50 years on me, and I'm like, what? It's my boy! And then for this movie, before the movie dropped, people were pointing out that in the movie poster, she was wearing pink. And so a lot of people were going, is it Amy? Is it Amy?
Amy?
And I am so relieved that is in fact what ended up happening.
And Metal Sonic.
Yes, which I'm
So
really
many
hoping
of them.
I'm really hoping that means the next movie is Sonic CD. basically, where we get Metal Sonic and Amy, and there's going to be time travel shenanigans, which means your boy could show up.
Oh my god! Oh my idiot.
I mean, probably not.
I don't think he can.
Time travel,
for
though.
reasons.
Time travel, though.
That's fair, but much of the building blocks of my... So my favorite is Silver. Which is a problem when your favorite, for one, requires temporal shenanigans and came from the worst game.
I mean...
the worst game!
That's the bigger hill to climb. Again, they can always do something to streamline his backstory. Like they did with Shadow in this to incorporate him.
I mean, honestly, if we get a movie of time shenanigans, he might be the Stinger.
He might be.
Because he is a big enough character that, I mean, all the hedgehogs are big characters for this. Like, that's kind of the thing. He's a big enough character that he could pull a post-credits. I feel like, for, say, the Chaotix, like, they would be an Easter egg, or if they wanted them to be part of the plot, they would introduce them organically, but it wouldn't be I
feel like if there's going to be a Knuckles season 2, that's where we could get our Chaotix. Because they're the Knuckles Chaotix.
Gimme.
Also, what I wouldn't give for
Keith voicing Vector. Just
also,
gimme the whole time.
Just the dorky detectives who are just really good detectives, but are also hot messes that can't pay their rent. I am such a big fan of like the team where it's like, well, we gotta eat and keep the lights on. Let's take let's figure out something. Yeah, I am such a big fan of that trope.
Isn't there a bit where Cream is like making it's no, not Cream. Vanilla. Thank you. Oh my god, no, Cream and cheese is the chow. I just crossed all my wires.
It's okay.
Isn't there a bit in the comics where like she and Vector are kind of making eyes at each other?
I mean, not overtly. Vector canonically does have a crush on Vanilla.
God bless, the man has taste.
I don't necessarily think that that's reciprocated. I think she's doing fine as a single mom.
Oh yeah.
But like it is something where he clearly has a crush on her, and it's adorable.
Everyone who only watched the movie is like, what the fuck
what are we talking about? We're talking about the detective alligator or crocodile, I actually don't know.
Who may or may not also be a DJ?
And the fact that he has a giant crush
on the rabbit woman. On the single mom rabbit woman.
Who is a single mom to like an 8-year-old kid.
I think Cream's like 6.
I feel like
she and Charmy are so young. They are babies.
The ages for the characters tend to fluctuate a little bit. Like Tails is either 8 or like 10. Cream is either 6 or 8. Amy's either 12 or 14. You know, Sonic's either like 14 or 16. They all fluctuate a little bit. Depending on the... Anyway, neither here
This is not the deep lore. This is just stuff that's not in the movie.
What were we talking about? We were talking about potentially
backdoor cameos and Knuckles Season 2, which I'd love to see Chaotix.
So, yeah, we get Metal Sonic and Amy Rose in the mid-credits scene. Yeah. And I'm very pleased.
So many medals. Like, just getting the one was like, okay, that's amazing. And then there's like 50 and we went, hang on. Who the fuck built you? Because usually Metal Sonic is like one and done. He is important enough to be a mid, if not final boss, depending on the game. He may or may not have a personality, again, depending on the game.
Having multiple...
Usually Metal Sonic is just one. Just the one guy.
It's like they took the multiple shadows and just went, just make a Metal Sonic instead.
Paste it onto that guy.
Yeah.
He's recyclable.
But also, it totally makes sense to, like, if you're going to mass produce a villain, Metal Sonic would be the one to do, you know?
A lot less biology involved.
I'm also very, very relieved because there were people who, I think, in an effort to not spoil the actual movie, there were people on Twitter who were, like, hinting that it was the Deadly Six. And I'm so glad that those folks were trolling because, like, people who got in to see, like, early screenings ever, or who got to go to the premiere, like, Someone overtly said, like, it's gonna be, like, the mid-credit scene, guys, it's gonna be deadly. And, like, somebody was like, wow, 7 mid-credit scenes, that's crazy.
Oh
and I'm sitting here going, please, don't make Zavok a thing. No one
We
invited
don't
you.
want Zavok to be a thing.
No one invited you, Trevor.
Get out of my house.
Well, for Team Sonic Racing, for those who don't live in this apartment and therefore have no context.
They made Zavok a playable character, and I dislike him so much that it started being "No one invited you, Trevor," which is a quote from Scream 4. Nobody said this had to make any sense.
Started calling
Nobody
him
said this had to
Trevor.
make any sense. Stop trying to make Trevor a thing. Get out of my house. When he would get randomly assigned with us to a team, it would be like, "Fuck you, Trevor."
I will say,
fine, we'll use our
the
team
voice
blast.
actor does a great job.
Oh
so
my God,
absolutely
yes.
no shade to the performer. He does an excellent
He is
job in the
so
performance.
good.
But as a character, I don't think Zavok brings a lot to the table unless he gets a
He's-
power up in Team Sonic Racing and yells, "I am like a god!" And
We're
it's
sitting here
hilarious.
going, "Shut up, Trevor."
But that is
Again.
when he's at his most entertaining.
Again, like, I hesitate to say that he's a nothing villain, but my God, there's
doesn't bring
really
much to the
not
table.
a lot to.
He doesn't bring much to the table.
The whole group is just gimmicks and haha, we're evil.
They're
So-
two-dimensional cartoon characters. Like
There's nothing wrong with having a pure.
they're cartoon characters, derogatory.
Derogatory.
Whereas I'm looking at Shadow, he's a cartoon character, affectionate.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with having a pure evil villain that's really just going for it for the sake of going for it, because that's where you get, like, your maleficence. But the thing is, you gotta have, like, style, panache, the power to back it up. You have to have a presence. And none of them do. They're just annoying.
I mean, outside of Zavok, I don't know any of their names.
I'm sure they do. Well, my only exposure to them was in the comics when shit got real bad for a while. Nothing quite like the comics being a metal plague in the middle of 2020.
I was gonna say, the IDW comics do everybody justice really well. They're very, very fun. I'm
Yes.
super behind, but they're very, very fun. Anyway,
It did not stop it from being very frustrating when they were thrown into the mix of an already, like, emotionally wrenching arc, and it was just like, and now we have to deal with you fuckos. Great! So I'm very glad that was not the case. Because I really didn't want to roll into a movie where we look at the villain and go, and now we have to deal with you fuckos.
No, instead we're getting Metal Sonic and Amy Rose, which is a delight.
And whoever the fuck built Metal Sonic.
Which, presumably, Eggman.
Presumably, if there's time shenanigans, maybe.
Who's to say,
if
honestly?
the explosion blew him back in time because
I
it's
mean-
chaos energy, sure, I'll roll with that. And also, what?
Well, also, if
Can we get Jim Carrey again, is the question.
If
I think.
Eggman's dead, something that they could do is he's a gun creation from the future.
Well,
they
that's fair.
they mass produced robots for the Eclipse canon. Why not mass produce Sonic? They were running experiments on Shadow while they were able to. They wanted to run experiments on Sonic as well. They didn't get the chance. So I could definitely see, especially with Olive Garden Guy being incapacitated at best, straight up dead at worst.
Being, let's say, incapacitated. One way or another.
But I could absolutely see other people within the military within the world building, looking at Sonic and Shadow and going,
I want that.
well, if we can't capture and use them in the way that we've been trying to, we'll just make our own. And mass producing them and, like, having that be a problem in the future, Terminator style down the line. I could see that
Right.
happening.
I know that gun exists, so we can blame all military stuff on that. Like, you need a fake military entity so you don't run afoul of real military entities or wind up funded and censored by them like Marvel movies. But, like, there's a part of me that just went, oh god, Metal Sonic was built for the Air Force by Boeing. And I just...
Girl.
They won the bid over Lockheed Martin.
Oh my god.
Alright, I'm going to hell. Anyway, I think at this point the video's gone on for too long. If that's worth a brain.
I would just like to say I am 100% here for a possible time travel Metal Sonic storyline. I am in favor of the Red Hood, Amy Rose.
Let's go.
Dream casting for Amy. Again, if we're not going with the the current game VA, who excellent, wonderful, Lisa Ortiz would be fun to get her back since she did the voice for a couple of the games and for the entirety of Sonic X. I think she'd be great. Lena Inverse.
Man, I mean, presumably they will do celebrity casting again.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of how this works.
I fully believe that they would get a big name actor.
I think that's also why they very specifically did not give her a line, because for Tails they hired Colleen and the whole fandom went, "You're keeping her, right?" And they went,
"Ah, dang it.
I guess so. We've seen what you guys get like when you're riled up."
I would think maybe Amy Adams, a Disney princess.
My brain went Jewel State.
Who's Jewel State?
Kaylee on Firefly.
Ooh, she'd be great.
Yeah, that's where I went. So I honestly don't know.
I could also see them doing Isla Fisher, because Isla Fisher's done a number of, like, celebrity doing a voice role, sort of things. Yeah. And she does a really good American accent.
Yeah, at this point, I have no idea, but it would be fun. Well, we'll see when it comes down the line. But I'm also very bad at, like, pick a celebrity, and I'm like, boy, celebrities exist.
Kristen Bell.
Oh, no, I think I would have the problem with that, of hearing
Eleanor.
From the I know it would be very different delivery. In the same way that occasionally during this movie, my brain shorted out, and I'm like, yeah, that's a Leonardo line. I'm very into Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Ben Schwartz voiced Leonardo in that, and it's the same voice and the same inflection. The same. So parts occasionally during the movie, my brain just went, oh yeah, and then went, no, switch gears back.
I think Disney princess who can also punch you in the face and send you careening into a wall.
That's Ming-Na Wen.
Hey.
I don't think that's the right voice fit for Amy.
I would totally love Ming-Na as Rouge.
Oh, let's go.
How great would that be?
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. That's all she's missing from her resume. Superpowered furry.
I think Kristen Bell could do the really good, like, I'm cute and bubbly and a Disney princess, like Anna. But also, I'll punch you in the face and I won't be sad about it. Of Eleanor, of like, I'm a hot mess, and I'm gonna make it your problem.
Like, I'm sweet and adorable, and my weapon of choice is a pink warhammer. Like, I wasn't expecting that last word. No, you weren't, were you?
That's what I'm gonna say. Prediction / if I could pick anybody who's not a previous voice actor who has played Amy, I would say Kristen Bell. That's my pick.
Yes. All right. We do need to wrap.
Okay, sorry. We can talk about Sonic.
90-minute video.
We can talk about Sonic all day. And guess what? We'll probably keep talking about that when the recording stops.
That's what the Patreon is for. Anyway. Long story short, watch this fucking movie.
Thumbs up. Can't wait to watch it again.
You were like, yeah, I'll watch the spoiler bits to see if I should watch the movie. Yes, the conclusion continues to be yes.
My only regret was that I didn't get to see this movie with my siblings. In the way that we saw Sonic 2, it was us and my siblings who, we all grew up playing Sonic together, so that was
kind of hard
fun.
To get someone to do a multiple-hour commute on a Thursday night.
It's very difficult.
That's rough.
That's the only thing that would have made it better for me, was having my loved ones there. I had some of my loved ones there, but not all of my loved ones.
Yeah, people are going to start asking if we're dating again. We're not. It's not how this works.
Friends.
Friendship.
Anyway, but yes, thumbs up. I had a really good time. Can't wait to watch it again.
Hey, fucking plus, let's go.
Anyway,
the awkward drink break.
I am Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, I guess Threads, and Blue Sky at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm not really active on those much anymore. I mostly use social media to look at horror podcast fan art. But feel free to follow me. I'll probably do some tweeting about how much I loved this movie and things like that. So, yeah. We also have a YouTube channel called Silver Screams, where Katie and I will occasionally talk about horror things. Yeah, we will be talking about Alan Wake, the Remedy trilogy, very soon.
The inevitable Alan Wake video will be on that channel.
So yeah, keep an eye out for that coming up.
Yes.
And
at some point. So.
I do other stuff, but it's pretty sporadic. So yeah, just follow me and you'll be up to date on all my things.
And I'm Katie. You can follow me all over the social medias as well as on Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. All the VOD for the streams that we do are there, including our stream of Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog and a stream of my personal beloved nostalgic game, Jurassic Park Chaos Island, which is a point-and-click strategy game based on Jurassic Park The Lost World. And it's, we went a little nuts.
If
it's
there's
a good time.
Any games you'd like us to do, I'd say let us know. Leave a comment.
From Steam.
From Steam specifically.
From Steam. We don't have
no.
a setup.
As much as I would love to stream Alan Wake or Sonic Adventure 2, as much as I would love that, we don't have the setup for it.
We don't have the setup for that. We don't. Nope. Yeah, and I am also over on the Fanversation YouTube channel doing all sorts of stuff, but for the most part, a weekly show called Nighttime at the Nerd Bar with my co-host, Carrie. We talk about anime, video games, just general pop culture and nerd stuff, whatever strikes our fancy. We do have special guests, and if you want to go through and be like, which ones are the ones with interviews? They will specifically say, with guest so-and-so, so you can take a look. Yeah, we have fun. I used to have a big long outro. I think at this point it's just gonna be stay safe. As they're saying right now, since the holiday season, pack your patience.
In honor of Keanu, be excellent to each
other. Stay safe, take care of each other, take care of yourself. It can be very hard to take breaks from the constant stream of news and social media, but it is good for your brain to walk away a little bit and recalibrate, take a walk if that works for you, play a video game, do something that just lets your brain go, okay, we're good. It's very important. It's hard to do, but it's very important. So please take care of yourself. It is very important. Take care of each other. That's how we're going to get through the future. That's how we're going to make this happen.
The light remains even long after the star is gone.
Yeah, but y'all better stick the fuck around. Yes, you specifically. Stick around. You're important. All right. We love you guys. See you next time. Do we love this song? No! No!